The breakup topic, as I'm sure many of you by now have figured out, is just a topic, but there's a lot that goes into it that that applies to life, right? So the experience of a breakup or a loss is basically just an experience of like difficulty, right? Life is not always going to be smooth sailing. We're going to have difficult times, difficult challenges, and a breakup is like an excellent, incredible discussion because it's so intense. It can be arguably more difficult than a death, dealing with someone who's died, because there's the rejection, there's the pride, there's all sorts of things involved with it. And sometimes there's the person is still present and is irritating us, distracting us, contacting us, or is present in our workplace or whatever. So the techniques that we apply to get through difficult breakups are techniques that we're going to use for the rest of our life. The core of these techniques are all about how to use this. Mastering your attention, training your attention to focus on self-love. Well, what is self-love? Self-love is focusing on your goals, your gratitude. So training your mind to think of and to focus on your goals, the gratitude, the activities that bring strength, energy into your life. Self-love is also how you view yourself. Do you see yourself as strong, confident, able, successful, attractive? It doesn't matter how you look, We can bring the best out of ourselves no matter what. Even if we have no arms and no legs, we can still be incredibly attractive. It's not about how you look. It's not about the material. It's about, what are you focused on? Are you focused on the little flaws within yourself, and by that making those flaws a bigger part of your thought process and your beliefs, because what you put your attention on grows, becomes more powerful? Or is your attention on your strengths, what's great about you? Am I going to focus on, all the things about myself that the world, society, or even myself might view as weaknesses or unattractive? Or am I going to focus on what my opportunities and my strengths are? Of course, those things make a difference. Today I had an excellent session. Actually, I had 3 sessions today. They were all excellent. Well, the last one I had with someone I've been working with for a while now. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but incredibly interesting person, poker player, currently professional poker player. But anyway, I'm not going to get into too much info. But we had a chat, and he brought up Tai Chi. And in this video, I want to talk about meditation. And Tai Chi, incredible art form. I have some experience with this. I did it for a while, and as I was just describing to him, Tai Chi is just psychological genius. The forms, the movements are incredibly empowering and have everything to do with what I just said, which is how to master your attention and your thoughts and your self-image. Self-love is all about your self-image. How do you view yourself? Do you view yourself, remember what I just said, as strong, successful, attractive? Or do you view yourself as weak, useless, pathetic, whatever? Okay? That's self-talk. What is the self-talk that you're having? What is the self-image that you have of yourself? Super important. If you look at fighters, that's their number one battle and their number one focus of their training. 90% of fighting is mental. You'll hear many professional fighters say that. And Tai Chi, as the person I've been working with brought up, and we were talking about, Tai Chi is incredible. It's all about that, the forms are about, moving the moon or moving the sun. Forgive me if I've forgotten the exact forms, but this is just the gist, the basics of it. Planting your balance in your body into the ground, imagining roots growing out of the soles of your feet and deep into the ground. These thoughts, these images, this imagery is mental strength conditioning. And can you imagine hundreds of thousands of years ago, Tai Chi and all these ancient teachings? Imagine the warriors, the people that would go into battle and they would train themselves before difficult. It doesn't have to just be for battles, but just for life. Doing the Tai Chi and, imagining that you're moving mountains and shifting rivers and transforming landscapes, and you yourself growing roots into the ground. This type of imagery, lifting a sun, so when you see people in parks doing the Tai Chi and the movements, that's what they're doing. And each movement has different, those different forms have different names, again, forgive me, I'm not an expert in Tai Chi, but, they all have the names like the rising sun form or whatever it is, okay? The gist of what I'm trying to get at is this is mental conditioning. It's very similar to writing down affirmations like, I am peace, I am confidence, I am strength. Each day, my potential grows. Each day, my focus grows stronger. This is mental strength conditioning. You can call it whatever you want. At the biological level, it's conditioning of your mind. It's basically you're rewiring your mind to work and function in a different way, in a way that helps you, that strengthens you. A couple of times in the last 2 days, the conversation of porn has come up. Just before I get into the meditation topic, porn, what does it do when we're watching porn? You begin to worship the physical body, whether, let's face it, I mean, women and men are into porn, but I don't think there's any doubt that it's predominantly men who are obsessed and hooked and addicted to porn. And what are you doing when you're watching porn? You're obsessing about the body parts, gorgeous, female body parts, and the legs, the breasts, what you're doing is you're making yourself smaller, and you're putting sex up, up here. You're worshiping it. How does that affect you as you're making yourself smaller? If you're a guy out there and you're obsessing with porn, you're gonna walk out into the world, and every girl you see, you're gonna be looking up at her as if she's this sexual goddess, and that's what you want. You want that. You want that. You're thinking of porn. It's just extremely demeaning, not just to the to the women around you, the women out in public, but it's demeaning to yourself. That's the most important thing, is you're making yourself small. It ruins your self-esteem, ruins your confidence, it ruins your self-image, the way you see yourself. You'll lose respect for yourself. And remember, the world outside of us is simply a reflection of what's going on within us, in our mind, how we view ourselves. So without further ado, let's dive into the topic of meditation and enlightenment, I think meditation and enlightenment's just overhyped. Look, one of the greatest things, and this is going to sound like I'm just saying the opposite of what I just said, but one of the greatest things in my life has been meditating. It's brought so much power into my life. And yes, I do that meditating where I'll sit still, focus on very little, breathing, just stillness. I think that's one of the ultimate forms of meditation, is doing as little as possible. But having said that, the reason why I say it's overhyped, it's just misunderstood in a big way, is because we all meditate in our own way. The ultimate meditation of all is, I think, sleeping. It's the ultimate meditation, but it's better if you can be conscious while you meditate. But aside from that, we all meditate, whether it's through sports, through painting, through playing the guitar. I was playing my guitar last night. It's an amazing meditation. Everything gets turned off. Your focus comes onto something simple. That's essentially what meditation is. And the reason why meditation is so empowering is because the one organ in our body, the one part of our body that consumes the most amount of energy is the brain. And by focusing on something as simple as breathing, or even just drawing or painting, we free up 80% of what would usually be spent on worrying, on self-talk, on thinking about money, relationships, my friends, people who are annoying me, people who are hurting me, the ex, the car, the house, the plumbing, endless stream of energy being spent on worrying, on thoughts. And essentially, meditation is, or enlightenment, that the enlightenment that can come from meditating, the energy that comes from it, is relief. That's all it is. It's relief. And the greatest feelings on earth are feelings of relief. Even sex, when you orgasm, it's a release. It's a release of built up sexual tension. Built up. It builds. For men, it builds, within us it builds. And then we need to release it. When we orgasm, it's a release, it's a relief. So it was this tension. But the thing is that over time, the pain and the tension, the stress, we forget about it. It becomes normal. We don't feel it anymore. We only feel it when we have the release. And then we go back to how it is without the tension. So even orgasm or enlightenment or the amazing energy and bliss we feel from meditating after a session of meditation, all it is just the relief from the stress that we are constantly under, whether it's the stress of constant thinking, overworking this mind so that it's constantly worrying, thinking, stressing, and when you shut it down, it's just relief. So what I'm trying to get at here is meditating isn't adding anything. All it is, it's relieving you of stuff that you're already doing that's creating stress. It's the same with when we orgasm during sex, when we climax during sex. It's the same thing. We're not adding anything. An orgasm isn't something that's being added. It's a release. It's a release of all this tension. It's like a scratch. It's like an itch, right? The itch puts us under this stress, and we're just stressing out over this itch. And if you're disciplined enough over time, you can forget about it. That stress of that itch can just become normal. Yeah? But when you itch it, you're releasing that tension. And think about how many other things in life that bring us incredible joy and, are also more of a relief and release rather than adding something. Just eating. when you eat or drink something, it's because your body's been holding, it's under stress, it's not getting what it needs. It's, our body needs nutrients, it needs water, it needs fluids, it needs electrolytes, like things like, in coconut water or green vegetables, like kale. Why are those things so good for us? Because they're full of minerals and electrolytes, and our body, our nervous system needs the electrolytes to communicate signals, to move your hand or to think better or to handle stress better. But if you're not filling your body and you're with those things, your body starts to stress. Just like that itch, it starts to like, oh, it needs the relief. Or just like holding out, not having the sex, it starts to build. Okay, it's the same with meditating. Meditating is a release. It's just a release because you're in a constant state, 24 hours aside from sleep. But so many people also don't sleep well. So all meditating it's allowing yourself to release yourself from that constant state of stress that for you has become just normal. But it's not normal. In one of my videos a while ago, a couple of years ago, I think, or a year and a half ago, I mentioned an experience I had where I wrapped up my ankle because it was injured, but I was in a rush, and I wrapped it up too quickly, and I wrapped it up too tightly. And on the way down to the gym, like I could feel like, oh shit, I wrapped this too tight, but I had no time to loosen it up. I get into class, of course, like my attention goes on to training. It's an hour and a half training session. By the end of it, I completely forget that there's this extremely painful thing around my ankle. It was painful. It was really painful, but I forgot. Why? Because we adapt, we evolve, we adapt. The pain becomes normal to us. That pain, that extreme pain became normal. It became the new normal. Okay? Why is this an important lesson? Because many of us out there are in a lot of pain, physical pain, poor posture, we don't sit correctly, we don't stand correctly, we don't do a lot of things in a way that's right for our bodies, and we have tension, in our hips and our shoulders. That's the primary areas. Why? Because we want to defend ourselves, because we're afraid we turn into this shape rather than being open, open. So what happens over time, all these injuries and the tension and the cramps, they can become normal and you just won't feel them anymore. But you'll feel them when they're opened up, when they're released. It's the same when you smoke weed. For some people, when they smoke weed or take some sort of drugs or whatever, it can relieve the pain. And then why does it feel good? It's not that something is being added to you. It's not that the weed is being added to you. All that's doing is it's just allowing you to release and relieve yourself of tension that's already there. It's allowing you to be who you are. And that's what meditating is all about. Allowing you to be yourself in a more natural, free state. So going back to my ankle that was wrapped, after training, I wound up giving my friend a ride home. And as he was talking a lot, then my attention got drawn to the pain again. I'm like, oh man, my ankle's in a lot of pain, like there's no circulation, this is way too tight. But anyway, I continued, I dropped him off at home, and then drove home, got home, again, like forgot about my ankle, again, because it had become just normal. But then when I opened it up, the relief was amazing. It was so blissful. Okay? So I hope that you're seeing a pattern with all of these things, that it's a sensation of relief, and we should live our lives in this way, finding that relief from the constant stress that we're putting ourselves under, because it's the constant stress that can hurt us, that can create illnesses. If you're constantly consuming something like that's bad for you, like if you're drinking constantly, you're going to slowly damage your liver. If you're smoking too much, it's going to damage your lungs. If you I talk about in one of my older videos, I was talking about the difference between a racehorse and a workhorse. A racehorse is going to train fucking hard, but the difference between a racehorse and a workhorse is they both work extremely hard, except the racehorse works super hard, but then has an amazing break, rests, feeds itself. It rests. The breaks are important. Whereas a workhorse is just constantly being worked. And that's how it gets ground down. It becomes older. It becomes an old workhorse that can no longer work. Okay? Because it gets injured. So be aware of this, not just with your physical body, but with your mind. Okay? Give yourself that mental release by bringing your focus onto fewer things. And it can be through meditation, can be through playing the guitar, it can be golf. A lot of people play golf, and they'll make fun of meditating. They'll be like, all that meditating crap. I'm not going to meditate. They don't realize that by playing golf after their business, trip, or they're working 9 to 5 and they play golf, that's their meditation. Their focus is on, how much focus you need to hit a little ball with a thin piece of metal with a little thing at the end? That requires focus. And to have a good swing, I don't play golf, by the way. I've only gone to the driving range a couple times, but I can understand it. The focus required. And to be able to swing, like freely, without thought. That's the point, right? I'm betting that the greatest golfers are the ones that can just swing, beautifully swing, without that fear of I'm going to miss it or I'm going to hit it in the wrong way. It's the same with fighting. To be a great fighter, you've got to have that focus. Yeah, that focus on allowing your body to move properly. Have the correct technique. Yes, we train the golf swing, we train the correct way to punch, we train, and then it becomes instinctual. And then we can allow it to be expressed freely. When I do competitions, or if I have a competitive fight or whatever, at that moment in time, I'm trying not to think so much. I've done the thinking. The thinking happens in training. I'm thinking and training. But when I'm on stage, if I'm with my band playing, or if I'm in a jiu-jitsu competition, I'm just going to allow it to come out. It's okay if there's mistakes, that's fine, but I need it to come out freely. That's how I'm going to do my best. Okay, I might lose. Fine, so what? But I want it to be expressed properly. Losing it's not important. What's more important is allowing yourself to express yourself. And yes, training is important. The more you train, the more you'll be able to do it. I think it was Mariah Carey interview or Whitney Houston. It was an incredible, I think it was Mariah Carey. And this is ages ago, years ago, I saw an interview of hers, and she says, train. But when you're on stage doing your performance, just free fall. Let it go. And that's something that has stuck with me. So, meditation. I'm going to make many videos on meditation. I've already made a few. This is going to be another way of looking at it, another way of describing it. And I'm going to make more in the future to come, because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the topic of enlightenment and meditating. That's what I believe. I believe that when you're in the present moment, as everyone talks about, being present, all it is that you're bringing your focus to fewer things, to the present moment, right? I'm not a believer that you should be present all the time. I think that's a false belief to have. I think that we're like a bullet or a spear that's flying through the air. And to even say that there is such thing as a present moment, I would even argue about. Because is there really a present moment? Is there such thing as right now? Right now is constantly in a state of, in a state of fleetingness. It's almost like there is no such thing as now. It's like the tip of the spear that's flying through time, through the air. So it's just, if you want to like constantly be in that point of presence, I've experienced it. It's incredibly energizing. Why? Because you're in a state of being, just absorbing what's happening right now. But there's nothing wrong with thinking of the past. There's nothing wrong with overthinking of the past. There's nothing wrong with thinking of the future. And there's nothing wrong with overthinking of the future. You're thinking right now, wait, that doesn't make sense. Overthinking is okay. Well, it depends on what you're thinking about. If I'm going to be thinking about, the good times I had, or what I had and what I don't have, and things that are going to bring pain, well, then of course, that doesn't serve me, right? But there's a lot that we can draw from the past that will serve us. Happy moments that inspire us. I have some medals on the wall here from my jiu-jitsu tournaments, and for many, many years I never was into medals or trophies. But now when I look at them in a different way, and I think that reminds me of the courage I had, the bravery that I had, and it helps to inspire me. So I can draw from thoughts of the past that inspire me and influence me in a positive way. There's plenty that we can draw upon from our past. Funny moments, happy moments we've shared, things we've learned. I wouldn't be able to speak English. Eckhart Tolle, Muji, all these spiritual teachers wouldn't be able to speak English if they were in a 100% pure state of presence, because of your language. You need memory. You need to remember, right? So the best way I like to explain this is you're driving on a highway very fast. You're driving on a freeway. Now, looking in your rearview mirror there's nothing wrong with that, but you don't want to just be stuck on it. Otherwise, you're going to crash. So that's too much looking at the past. And when you're driving, it's also good to look way ahead, just to make sure that there's no accidents happening way ahead, that, just to make sure that there isn't a cliff that everyone's driving off, make sure that there isn't, some UFO hasn't landed and is laser beaming all the cars into dust, right? But you don't want to be fixated way too ahead, because then the car right in front of you could just hit the brakes and then boom, right? So you want a balance of being present, like around you, hands on the steering wheel, the car in front of you, your left, your right. That's your present moment, your direct environment. And then you also want to occasionally look and take what serves you from behind. And then look ahead, take what serves you from way ahead in the future. And your life should be a mix of the past, the future, the present, and make it a mix of things that serve you. And that will all bring power and strength into your life. And just do it step by step. I know that for many people who may have tried sitting and meditating, you'll find it hard. You'll just be like, I can't do this. My mind just races and thinks, and I just can't. Well, that's because you think that you're supposed to stop thinking. That's not the goal of meditation. That's not what meditating is about. Meditating isn't about trying to stop thinking. That's impossible. Remember in my videos how I always say your heart is designed to beat and pump blood around you. That's its job. Your lungs are supposed to breathe. That's the job of your lungs. You don't ever want that to stop. You don't ever want your heart to stop. Well, your mind is designed to think, to calculate, to forecast, to look into. This is like a library. It's like a computer hard drive full of information. And there's a driver in there that's like a calculator that's calculating based on what's inside here, based on what thoughts are in here. And it's going to use those thoughts and it's going to like spit out, hey, this could happen in the future, or this has happened in the past, or this could be happening right now. That's the beauty of this mind. The problem is, what are the thoughts in there? How are those thoughts getting in there? How? Through your ears, through your nose, through your taste, through your touch, through your life experiences. Everything that's going through your senses winds up becoming a thought. Even smell is a thought. Touch, the way things feel, that's a thought. It's data. Sensory data. And there's a part of your mind that's just designed to take all that data and come up with forecasts of the future. And if all the data that you're getting in here, how do we control this data? By controlling our environment, putting yourself in a better environment, being around better people, being around better food, being in a better city. You know the rest, right? I go on about this in all my videos. So when you place yourself in a better environment, what's going to go into your senses is going to be better quality stuff. It's like food. You're going to be putting the diet of thoughts is going to be healthier. So the thing that's in there that's just automatically like your heart and lungs, it's just doing what it's designed to do, which is to think. It's going to be creating better thoughts, better beliefs. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that we're ever going to be in an environment that's perfect. There's, as I was telling one of my clients yesterday, who, she's a model, she's incredible, she does incredible work. And the modeling industry is full of toxic, jealous people. And I told her, look, toxic, jealous people exist everywhere. I live in the middle of nowhere. If you guys see where I live like in the middle of nowhere. And yet, I came out here, I lived in LA and Los Angeles. I lived in a little room, and it's like a crazy jungle. It's a circus, right? But I loved it. I loved it even there. I moved mostly for the air. The air in LA was just too... I wanted clean air. I love nature, etc. But I don't want to get too sidetracked here. But, I moved out here in the middle of nowhere. I wanted to be able to have some space away from neighbors and stuff. Believe it or not, in the middle of nowhere, I wound up with one of the most annoying neighbors you can imagine, who was like knocking on my door almost every other day and just telling me about how awesome his house is and this and that. Just annoying, right? Which is just proof that no matter where you go, there will be annoying, irritating people who might be toxic, jealous, and they're going to try to bring you down, make you feel like shit. This guy owns the house at the top of the hill, and he kept coming down. And even at one point, he told me that his view is way better than mine. I mean, what the fuck, right? There are people like this everywhere, even in the middle of nowhere. I have literally 2 or 3 neighbors, and out of all of them, I had to wind up with an annoying one, right? So the thing is that, here's the thing. The universe takes care of things. It's amazing how it does. He wound up being kicked out of his place because he was renting it. And he had a falling out with the person who owned the place, and that person kicked him out, right? Now, I'm not trying to be like all in your face and everything, but if you just focus on yourself, focus on your goals, on the activities, the people, the things that bring energy into your life, and don't give those people attention because that's what they want. They want to irritate you because they want your power. And where is your power coming from? It's coming from your attention, right? So whenever you have people who are will tell you something to engage you, to get you to like argue with them or fight with them, be wiser and realize why they're doing that. Because what they really want, and they don't know it themselves, but what they really want is your attention. Because when they get your attention, they're getting your power, your energy. Okay? It's the same with toxic breakups where you have an ex who's trying to get you to, get your attention. They're your power. How many times have I seen this with people that I work with where I'll always say, no, don't text for their birthday. Don't email them for their birthday. Continue to focus on no contact, aka self-love, aka focusing on your goals, on your life, on gratitude, on developing and building gratitude. To be grateful for the air that you're breathing. I'm not against watching the news. So many people are, and I understand that because they want to make sure that what's going in their mind is, positive thoughts. But to me, like, that just helps me feel more grateful for the things I have. Seeing people, out in the world who are less fortunate than I am only make me feel more grateful or more gratitude. So, hearing about the news today that in Syria, these poor people there who for so many years now have been living in hell. Like I can't even imagine what type of life they're going through. And today to hear that, they're being, people are dropping chemical weapons on them now. I mean, how sad is that? How sad is that, right? It is sad. But what it should make you do is it should make you appreciate and value what you have more and be less of a bitch, be less of a complainer. Or, forget about being less of a complainer or whatever, but be more of a, into gratitude. Train yourself to be grateful. As I always say, the core of happiness stems. The root of happiness and health is gratitude and focusing on your goals. Those two things. What are your life goals? If you don't have any, well, sit down, enjoy yourself, and start to think about it. I like doing it when I'm in the shower, or, if I can ever get access to a jacuzzi or something. I like sitting and I just like to think, plan, what are my goals? What am I going to do to get there? The thing is, when you start to carve these pathways of thought about your goals, the reason why you'll manifest them is because you're actually figuring out how to get there, how to do it. I'm going to end this video now. It's been all over the place. I have no idea what to title it. I'm going to call it something to do with meditation, possibly. But I'm going to end it with a little note on manifesting. Okay? Why is it that when you laws of attraction, manifesting, why does it work? You don't want to just sit there and be like, I am wealth, I will be rich, wealth is coming to me, abundance of money will be coming my way. That's not enough. You've got to be obsessively planning it. Well, how is that money going to come? Oh, okay, yeah, well, if I do this, yeah, if I do that, oh yeah, I could do this, I could do that. You're creating the mental pathways. It all starts here. Then it materializes out here. But enjoy it. I enjoy it. I find so much pleasure in planning, and focusing on my goals, and then thinking about all the things, the activities, the things in life that bring me power and energy. Just yesterday, I was just telling this to my client today, that I was just saying that I've neglected music for the last couple of years. But yesterday I've made a conscious effort to start thinking about music again. Thinking about my new album, what it's going to look like. What's the album cover going to look like? What are the song titles going to sort of be about? What's the sound of it going to be like? Is it going to be 80s synthy? Is it going to have, I think about the production, like is it going to be a lot of instruments or just one guitar, two guitars and drums and vocals and bass, and it all starts here. So put some time into thinking about these incredible things. Just all it needs is some attention. Attention is like water, and those thoughts are like the seeds. And the more attention you give, more water you give those seeds of thoughts, the more they will develop. And then the more they'll become a reality. This bee sting looks weird, huh? All right, everybody. So yes, and if you are interested in coaching or chatting, the focus of what I do, if you haven't by now gotten a good picture of it, is it's all about thoughts and attention. What are you thinking of? And the more we can think of and fantasize and obsess about great things rather than porn, and all this stuff, that distracts us but makes us feel less, smaller. We become like a slave. You become a slave to sex. You become a slave to money or drugs or whatever it is. Even the dating apps, you've got to be careful with them. Anyway, lots to talk about. Hope this helps. Sending out a lot of respect and love to everyone out there. If you've come across these videos, the reason I'm sending out respect to you is because you've started the process of wanting to become stronger, of wanting to become better, of wanting to improve. Okay? So make notes of things that help. Notes, when you write them down, that's thoughts. That's you taking control of your thoughts. Your attention is on those words. So make those words empowering. All right? And I'll make a new video soon. But for now, I'm off to hopefully not get stung anymore and do some grocery shopping, come home, do some cooking, and then get to work. All right? Adios for now, everyone. And the more you free yourself of these toxic addictions and distractions, you'll realize how much time they take from your life. And when you free yourself from all that time and energy being spent on those addictions and obsessions that are not healthy, the more you free yourself from that, you're going to find, wow, you have all this time and space to just enjoy doing other things. All right, everyone, talk soon. Adios for now. Bye.